Welcome to Atheist Talk on KTNF, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Good morning to all of you joining us locally by radio and streaming online. We appreciate you tuning in. Today is Sunday, August 12th, 2018. I'm your host, Maddy Love, in studio today with Jordan Bright and Julie Love. In a recent speech, United States Attorney General Jeffery Beauregard Sessions made the following statement, quote, "A dangerous movement, undetected by many, is now challenging and eroding our great tradition of religious freedom. This idea is the impetus behind the newly proposed Religious Liberty Task Force. Because of the nature of this conversation, I want to start the show by reminding listeners that all views and opinions expressed here on Atheist Talk are the views and opinions of the guests and hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Minnesota Atheists. If you are a member of Minnesota Atheists, or anyone else for that matter, and find yourself disagreeing with anything we are saying today, we encourage listener interaction with your phone calls to 952-946-6205, your emails to radio@mnatheist.org, tweet us at Atheist Talk, or send us a message over at facebook.com/atheist talk. Jordan, Julie, thank you both for joining me in studio today as we do our best to oppress the Christian minority with our godlessness. So I want to start. I want to read that quote again. A dangerous movement, undetected by many, is now challenging and eroding our great tradition of religious freedom. As a queer atheist woman, I first took that as a direct comment relating to people advocating equality for those who identify like I do, somewhere in the LGBTQIA spectrum. But do you two think Sessions and this administration had a broader scope than that? Do you think he was just talking about the push for equality?
I mean, surely if he did, he's not going to admit it. But it's like I think that he wants to kind of push the boundaries of what people of faith are allowed to do, both in public and legally too. So as far as just practicing your faith in public, that you can already do that.
Yeah,
so I think he's trying to push it a little further. That's just the first part of it.
Definitely, because we already have the right to do whatever we want. There has to be an ulterior motive in this, especially coming from that right-wing branch of our government.
Well, and Julie, you are, well, I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point in another episode or whatever, but you are a Christian, but who has a rather unique kind of view of Christianity that I don't think is shared by Mr. Sessions.
It's not.
do you feel like your freedom of religion is being imposed upon?
That's a good question that I wasn't exactly prepared for.
All right. Think about it.
I will think about that.
Because I'm thinking, I mean, Jordan, you're an atheist.
Yes.
I'm an atheist, but I'm also religious.
Okay.
I'm a member of the Satanic Temple.
Mm-hmm.
So I have religious freedoms.
You do.
And to be honest, there are times when I do feel like my religious freedoms are imposed upon by people like Jeffery Sessions. If I wanted to put up we wanted to put up, I don't know, some kind of satanic monument in a Belle Plaine Veterans Center that already had a Christian one.
Well, that was oddly specific, but I see where you're getting at there. So you're not implying anything, are you?
I get outside of that, limited. I don't feel like as an atheist any freedoms of religious belief, or not that atheism is a religion. Don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, we're not going to. Slippery slope.
Yeah, but I don't feel like my religious liberties are being infringed upon,
right,
on a day-to-day basis when I go to order a cake.
Right. It's. I actually had a thought after you asked me the first question, but I think he was more pushing for he wants it to be more acceptable in government jobs and in school. I think specifically schools also, because that seems to be getting a bigger push these days. They're asking whether or not you can pray in schools. You can, but you cannot be. The school can't require it.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what they're going for also.
I guess in thinking about your question, I do feel like maybe I might actually fall into this category of I might be one that he's targeting because I'm not the fundamental Christian. I'm the Christian who happens to believe that it's just all about getting along and loving each other. That's the basis of my religion, and love doesn't discriminate, and love doesn't hate. Love wouldn't propose.
You're not going to read all of
This kind
Corinthians
of
13,
no, I'm not. Do you remember it all? I don't.
I don't have to.
It just doesn't jive with what the Sessions is trying to do here, and that's to turn us into a fundamental nation of haters.
Yeah, it seems like in his mind, you are allowed to practice whatever you can, as long as you're a straight, white Christian male.
Yeah. And even then, I feel like almost like it's okay if you're not, but understand that like we have the right to discriminate against you for not. Because it's our religious belief that you're less or you're not worthy.
It's our belief that you are not equal to us.
Right.
So, and therefore it's like, well, we're going to put some boundaries on you now. So, stuff that you can't do.
Yeah, I think back, it's probably been like 10 years now, maybe longer, maybe a titch less, where Muslim cab drivers were refusing to carry passengers that had alcohol from the airport. Mm-hmm. And there was a big upcry about how, you can't do that. That's a violation of our rights. Don't impose your religious law on us.
Well, this actually just happened in Dubai.
I thought I heard a story about that.
Yeah, I just read it yesterday. There's a woman that she was given a complimentary alcoholic beverage on the plane, and she arrived in Dubai, and they found out she had alcohol, and I don't know what happened. She got detained, and she was held in a holding room for quite a while, actually, because she came into the country with some sort of blood alcohol level. Yeah,
and I think she was British. Yeah,
or she was Swedish, living in England.
Okay,
that's what it was. And she had her 4-year-old daughter with her too.
Yeah, I saw a blurb about how she was happy to be free, but that it had cost her like tens of thousands of. I thought I said dollars, but it might have been pounds. I'm not sure.
It was in euros, I think. It was 30,000 euros in legal fees and whatnot.
And I think the euro is kind of equivalent to the dollar right now, if not better.
So I can't. I'm not.
It's
sure
a lot of
offhand.
money. It's not 30,000 of like some rupees.
Yeah.
So is that where we're headed with this Christian religious fundamentalist? Let's take a look at Christianity through the ages. Are we not going to be allowed to drink and dance anymore?
Oh gosh, I guess when I see this, things like this Religious Liberty Task Force and the kind of religious push that Sessions is in his ilk are going for, I don't see a difference between this and the theocracy of any other kind. Like I think it would be a false equivalency to say that what Sessions is promoting is the same as like Sharia law, or like in a Saudi Arabian or Dubai theocracy. Because I don't think it's quite there, but it's
not. But it'd be like it's basically our version of Sharia law.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's not quite there, but they're gonna start pushing for that.
Yeah, and I don't view that as a slippery slope argument because it is a logical because it's a sharp departure from at least how I interpret the Bill of Rights and the extent of freedom of religion and separation of church and government. Like this is a sharp change from what I grew up learning about. And I loved the Constitution as a kid. Anyway, 5th grade me would just be astounded.
You can still love the Constitution. It's just one's interpretation of it that I think is lacking.
It's almost like the Constitution and religious documents have some things in common there.
Oh, wow. You wonder why? Thomas Jefferson would be shocked.
Yes, definitely. So, in thinking about this, like, do we see, like, hope? Like, is this something where do you think that there is, like, enough people getting upset about this that we can maybe stop it from happening or prevent it from happening? Or I guess where do you see us in 2 years?
I think there's a lot of people that want it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that want it to stop, but there's wanting it to stop than actually having to do something to stop it. So, and they think that's that might be where people kind of, I don't know, it sounds like a good idea, but now it's like, oh, we actually have to do something about it now, and then all of a sudden it'll happen, and it's like, oh crap, now what?
When you say it sounds like a good idea, do you mean like you're referring to stopping it?
Yes.
Not.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't want to be. Yeah. This whole religious freedom thing. That sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, it does. It does sound great. Everybody should have religious freedom.
Yes.
I think I agree. I think a lot of people are going to be afraid that if they do speak out, then they're going to be categorized as too liberal, which seems to be a bad thing as well. Like, it's okay to say that I'm all for that, but if my soccer mom friends find out that I've actually done something about it, I'm going to be disowned in my clique.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you're, I don't know if you can go, well, you can't really go this far, but, people that you work with, too. It's like, oh, you were at maybe there's a rally held. It's like, you were at that rally. It's like, what were you doing there? It's like, oh, okay, now,
Yeah, no, I can see that. I've got, thankfully, most of the people I work with are in a, I don't know, not liberal setting, but not, they wouldn't care. Like, I could show up and be super conservative or show up and be super liberal, and they wouldn't care at all. All right, well, we are going to take a commercial break, so please stay with us through the break, and we'll return to discuss how atheists are oppressing Christians. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Welcome back to AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're tuned into Atheist Talk. I'm your host, Maddy Love, in studio with Jordan Bright and Julie Love. Before we get back to the show, I want to remind everyone listening live that immediately following this program, you can listen to American Atheist Viewpoint, an official production from American Atheists. If you miss an episode live, you can always catch American Atheist Viewpoint by subscribing to the podcast version in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. If you're interested in getting involved with the conversation we're having today, the phone number is 952-946-6205. If you're a Christian and want to tell us how wrong we are, we would actually, honestly, love to take your call. If you'd rather, you can email us at radio@mnatheist.org, tweet us at Atheist Talk, or leave a comment on the Facebook post for this episode over at facebook.com/Atheist Talk. We were talking in the break about almost how, like, hey, I thought we would fill an entire episode with this. And it's like, wow, did we already solve this problem? It's like, oh my gosh, that is scary how simple this actually is.
Yeah.
At the same time, Julie, you had brought up something about employers. I mean, it got me thinking, like, we both work for the same unnamed Catholic hospital that will remain unnamed, but is part of a large health network. And yet, I've never been Catholic.
Neither have I.
I have.
You have? Oh.
I was raised Catholic, so.
I'm sorry.
Do you feel guilty about that?
Honestly, when I was being brought up, I went to religious ed classes every Wednesday, just because I had to. I mostly didn't really pay attention. It was boring for me, honestly. We sit in church for an hour every weekend. It's like, this is dumb. I just don't like this. I'm not getting anything out of it.
That's sad, because when we were going to church together, I always felt like I was getting something out. Well, okay, that's a stretch. I frequently felt like I was getting something out of it.
And well, now that I think of it, we actually had I went to a public school, and they actually it was Wednesday nights. They had Wednesday nights set aside, no sports practices or anything, because the Catholic school 2 blocks away, they had that was the night for religious education classes. And looking back on it, it's like, I don't think they should have done that, but all right. So and it was just the one night a week that I dreaded. It's like, oh crap! And the teacher we had, she was not nice at all. So I mean, she was like, if you don't do all this, you're going to be in a world of hurt when you get older. It's like, ew, okay.
Like if you don't do all this Catholic stuff?
Yeah. We were forced to go to Well, we weren't forced to, but it was just kind of like we were kind of pushed to go to these retreats. It was like once a year. It was a big event too. There were probably a couple thousand high school age kids there. It was a nice area. They provided donuts and free lunch, but that was about the only good thing that came out of it. I mean, our teacher came with us, and she told us, she's like, every single one of you is going into that confession tent. So there were a couple of us, the bathrooms were not far away, and it was a crowded area, so we tried sneaking around there. So I looked back to see if she could see me, and I saw her pointing over towards the confession tent. I was like, all right, I'll go in there, I'll think of something. I don't know. But,
and how old were you? Like teenager?
Yeah, this is high school.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So let's be fair.
You
probably had things to confess.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
not real sins, like, but like from the Catholic Church's perspective.
Yeah. Yep, and then it all ended when I got confirmed at 17, so yay. I still have my Bible with my name on it. So.
Did you, Julie, have any instances where, like, you were oppressing? Because, I mean, obviously, listening to Jordan's story, you can tell how the Catholics were being oppressed in that part of where he lived.
Well, unfortunately, I grew up thinking that Catholics were a cult. Strangely enough, almost, because I was raised in one of the Baptist faiths. Probably about the only child in my class of, I think it varied between 9 and 13, that wasn't either Catholic or Lutheran. And in a small town I was raised in, we had the same thing. Wednesday night was church night, but it wasn't for me because, we didn't have to go through all that ritual and all that stuff. So I guess no. Yeah, I never really had that in it was summer camp and all of that, but you had to have money to go to Bible camp, and I didn't have money to go to Bible camp, so I got to spend my summers at the swimming pool.
Well, our grandson just went to a big, long, week-long, like, Bible campy, youth groupy thing, and, we didn't have the money to help send him, and he couldn't afford to go, so the church kicked in and made sure he went, and it's like,
wow.
He had a great time and all.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, ick. Yeah, I remember growing up, and I think I'm just probably 5-10 years older than you are, Jordan. And living in Burnsville, I'm early 40s.
I'm 28.
Yeah, so I'm like 15 years older.
Yeah.
But like growing up in like Burnsville, we even in Burnsville, which isn't like a small religious town.
Right.
We still every Wednesday night there was no school events.
Yep.
There was no there was nothing.
Right.
You had church night.
Yep.
You either had Protestant church night or you had Catholic church night.
Yep.
But you had church night.
By us, it was Catholic, Lutheran, and Methodist. So, based on I had classmates that were part of all three. I can't remember the exact details, but I remember some of the Methodist kids telling me about stuff they had to do. They seemed like they had more fun than I did. Basically, for growing up Catholic was just very boring. So I have no really good memories of it. So.
Well, and our fantastic sound engineer, Sam, he's laughing. He's like, my school had church night on Wednesday nights too. Well, Minneapolis is kind of a small religious town. I mean, if you think about it, like, right? Yeah, he's not answering. No. I don't think he has his microphone turned on, which is weird.
No, yeah, I also went to a Catholic school too, so it makes sense that but I'm not sure what's up with this Wednesday night thing, though. It seems like everyone's got Wednesday night religious day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do Sunday? So, like, hey, you have one more day? It's like halfway during the week, I think. Maybe, like, you go on Sunday, you do all your confession, you do all your praise and worship stuff.
Yep.
But by Wednesday, you're slipping. You need another hit of Jesus. I wonder if like Seventh-day Adventists do like Tuesday night because they're going from Saturday and you need that Jesus hit halfway during the week.
I dated one of those and I don't think that was the case.
Well, we could ask Dan Hansen, one of the hosts, grew up Seventh-day Adventists too. We should ask him.
All right, we'll do that.
It'll be right on the top of my list. It's got me thinking now, like, okay, if your Sabbath is on this day, assuming you have a Sabbath, like how long can you go without getting into a church before you start to lose some of your religious credibility and start to like being able to like fall into that group that could actually maybe be oppressed?
Right. Well, it might be one of those things too where, if you don't go for, twice a week, then it's like, hey, you haven't been here. Where have you been? And then they start coming after you.
Well, you scheduled something on my Wednesday night. You're oppressing me.
Yeah.
Well, we need to quickly bake a cake for a gay wedding, so we'll return to our discussion with Jordan and Julie right after this brief commercial break. This is Maddy Love, and you're listening to Atheist Talk on KTNF, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Thank you for tuning in to Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF. I'm Maddy Love in studio this week with Jordan Bright and Julie Love. Before we continue with our conversation, we need to take a moment to thank our sponsors. All of us at Atheist Talk are asking for your help in keeping secular voices on the public airwaves and in podcast form. Atheist Talk is produced with funding from the Minnesota Atheists and Cucumbers Restaurant in Edina. Please consider visiting our sponsors, and if you do, let them know that you appreciate their support of Atheist Talk. If you'd like to advertise on this program and help keep us on the air, please contact us at radio@mnatheist.org. This radio program is put together by dedicated volunteers and the generous donations of people like you. It is because of listeners like you that we are able to keep Atheist Talk on the radio and in podcast form. This week, we'd like to thank monthly sustaining donors, Cindy and August, and finally a thank you to all of you who donate each and every episode over on Patreon. If you are able to help with a donation, you can do so over at our Radio Fund page or by becoming a patron. Sign up for as little as $1 an episode over at patreon.com/atheisttalk and listen to all of our extended interviews, discussions with a healthy dose of tomfoolery where the FCC holds no sway. Minnesota Atheists is a 501c3 tax-deductible organization. When we say we couldn't do the show without you, we really do mean it. And we are truly grateful for all of your contributions. Music for Atheist Talk is by composer and member Brent Michael David. All right. Mischief managed. Jordan, Julie, thank you. Sorry, I was looking in on the studio and I was like, oh, hey, we got a caller. But apparently they just wanted to talk to Sam and they didn't really want to talk to us. But that's okay. We will survive, Sam.
I was looking for some outside conversation on this one, but...
Yeah, because I honestly wanted... Oh, it's just somebody for the station. Oh, that's too bad.
Okay.
I honestly wanted to talk to... we have Julie in studio, but she's not like the fundy Christian. And I would love to hear from... like a fundamentalist Christian who wanted to defend this, or from
9:30, they might be at church yet.
That's true. Well, they could be driving to church. Like there's 11 o'clock service.
There's
too.
also 8 a.m. So
yeah, so maybe they're getting out of church.
Somebody call in with your church schedules.
Yeah, we'd like to know what your church schedules are, because
we're not going to show up there. We're just curious.
I would even love to hear from, because I'm sure there are atheists somewhere, because like we're a pretty diverse bunch.
Yes.
There are atheists who are very conservative and atheists who are very libertarian and some of them are progressive. Like, we run the political gamut, too. I would love to hear somebody, like, defend this who isn't... honestly, just defend it. Because, like, I don't understand at all how this is defensible in line with the not even just not... Not only do I think that it's out of line with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, but I just feel like it's out of line with basic common sense.
Right.
Like,
yep. Yeah. We do. It's like, well, we just need to make sure that people can publicly practice their faith. It's like, no, we already got that, Mr. Keebler Elf, but thanks for trying.
Well, you were talking about like earlier school, like, they're talking about like prayer in school and stuff, and people trying to get prayer in school. And I remember one of the jokes was,
send your kid to a Catholic school then.
Exactly. Or a Protestant school, or a Muslim school, or a Sikh school, or whatever religious school you want your kids to grow up in.
Oh, it costs too much money? Well, you got to do something there.
Yeah, that's just not my problem.
Yeah.
Like,
if they want your kid, they'll pay for them.
Yes.
It's called scholarships.
Oh, there we go.
That's a great idea. Just do it for the love of Jesus.
Yeah.
The power of Christ compels you.
Well, if you believe enough, won't God give you that money?
I guess. That depends. Like, is that a secret?
Might be.
Wait, he'll give you money?
I don't think you can fake belief.
No, he'll know.
One of the jokes I always heard when I was in school was, as long as there are tests, there will be prayer in school. Because I think that's legit. It's like, you pray for taking the test. I think about it, and I keep running up this idea of Christians being oppressed, and this idea that if I can't discriminate against you for whatever reason, then you are oppressing me, and you are taking away my liberty because I should have the right to say, you know what? You're the wrong color on the rainbow flag.
You're right.
Or your skin is the wrong color and you're wearing a turban. And so I'm going to assume that you're a Muslim even though you're actually Sikh.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, if we were to put this stuff into place, would we actually start to see Christianity discriminating against themselves, where the line even gets drawn?
Right. It's like you say you're a Christian, but you don't have the exact same Christian values that we do. Maybe they'll start fighting within themselves.
Yeah, because I've seen...
That'd be fun to see.
And you've seen this too, Julie, where it's somebody will say, well, I'm a Mormon. And I remember when we were going to church, that would be okay, well, they're a Mormon, but that's not a Christian. And now, from my standpoint as an atheist and as a Satanist, it's yeah, you are. You're both Christian. You know how I know? Because you both labeled yourself a Christian. I am. I don't think there's the no true Scotsman fallacy. If you say you're a Christian, it's a broad term, generally applied.
Yeah, it is. The literal meaning from the word is ignored.
Well, true, but
to be a Christian, you need to be a follower of Christ, and I don't think Joseph Smith was Christ, but I think they think that
Sam's nodding his head in agreement.
Yeah. He was, whatever, divine or something, but if you believe you are, then you are. That's just the power of positive thinking.
I guess. So my thought is, if you say you are, you are.
Was he the one with the seer stones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the South Park episode?
Yes.
I'm not a huge South Park fan, but I love that episode.
That's the only reason I know that.
Yes, I'm worried about copyright infringement, but Joseph Smith was a prophet. Dum 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 dum. I had that song stuck in my head for months.
It was the whole thing where it's only where he had the stones and then they got lost and then he got new ones, but but it was different this time.
Right.
So only I can read them. So you just have to take my word for it.
Yeah, he was literally pulling it out of his hat. Well, I totally forgot where. Oh, during the break we were also talking about the religious oppression of, we were joking about, whether or not Christians are really oppressed. And obviously they're not.
Right. Yeah.
But then we were talking about Satanist oppression. And honestly, I really do believe, and I joked about this in the first segment, but I really do see, and I think the Satanic Temple, one of their the things that are positive about them. Okay, I honestly think there's a lot of things positive about them. I could read you the tenets, but I'm not going to.
Right. No, I've been to one of their public meetings just because I was curious about it. So I went there. I was like, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, and one of the positive things that we do is putting ourselves out there as political activism against true religious oppression and true separation of church and government. Mm-hmm. Is to say, no, you need to include us as well. Right. We are a religion. We are just as equal as you.
Yep.
Yes, our religion is man-made, human-made, people-made, but then again, so is yours.
All religions are man-made.
Yeah.
Well, I joke that, and I am not obviously speaking in a capacity as any kind of representative of the Temple of Satan. I do not speak for them. But...
And if they want to put up a monument, they can. Like you mentioned before, somewhere a little southwest of the cities, maybe.
A plain monument.
Like somewhere in the Jordan area? Something in that neighborhood? Am I getting close? I think so.
I think so.
It rings a bell.
Okay.
I just think, you need to include us as well. We are...
Right. Yeah. If you want to have religious freedom for everybody, then you have to include everybody.
Yeah. And I don't think that Jeffery Beauregard Sessions.
Is that really his middle name?
Yes, it is. Isn't that great?
You said that the first time. I was like, what?
Yes. Named after a U.S. Confederate, or not U.S., you can't be U.S. Confederate. after a Confederate general in the Civil War. Didn't he start the shelling of Sumter Island? I'm asking Julie because Julie is the Civil War.
He didn't fire the first shot, but he was the commanding general in charge.
I got my Civil War history right. Julie has taught me well. Yes. Yeah, so it's not a surprise to me that somebody with a middle name Beauregard would be pushing forward, which is probably unfair because there's probably a lot of people with kind of racist middle names that are actually good people. So.
Right, you're right. It was just a bad draw for that man. It was just a bad draw for him.
It reminds me, though, of when people made fun of Obama with his middle name. So it feels fair to kind of send it back, right?
I guess. Now, you know what? Thank you for that shaming. I kind of deserve that. Because, Barack Hussein Obama, his middle name was Hussein. He wasn't a Muslim. He was born in Hawaii, not Kenya. Get over it, people. I have no idea where Sessions was born. I know he's from the South. I know he's Alabama, but I don't know. Born in Alabama?
I want to say it was Alabama, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
And of course, hashtag not Alabama. Alabamians? Alabamians, yeah. Not Albanians. That would be...
That's a whole different culture.
Although if you live in Albania, you also should have the right for religious freedom.
Yes.
But actually, if you're a Christian in Albania, because I know nothing about Albania.
Yeah, I say I have no idea what...
I don't even know, is that still a country?
I think so.
But maybe if you're a Christian in Albania, maybe you would be suffering from oppression. Because there are places in the world where if you're a Christian, you truly can be oppressed. And I remember going to church, one of the things that they would always talk about was how, the Christians in China are being oppressed. And I'll be honest, I don't know if they are because all of my information came from when I was in the church, and I view that all as suspect information. But sure, and then U.S. churches, want to equate with that. Because Christians in China are being persecuted, because Christians in this other country with a Muslim majority or some other majority are persecuting the Christians there, we identify with them, so therefore we are being persecuted. And it's that's a stretch.
If you're a Christian in the Middle East, yes, you will be oppressed and you actually might be killed.
Right.
So...
Just like if you're an atheist in the Middle East, because we've seen a lot of atheist bloggers get, flogged publicly, killed publicly, beheaded publicly.
Yeah, say public beheadings. They like to film that.
And that, my Christian fundamentalist friends, that is religious oppression.
Yes.
Being asked to bake a cake for a wedding is not religious oppression. Being told that your child will have to go to the bathroom in a public bathroom in a different stall next to somebody who's transgender, that is not religious oppression.
That's called bigotry.
Yes, that's called you're living in a pluralistic society with multicultural roots.
Are we going back to the? Never mind. I was saying, are we going back to the 50s now? Maybe the whole segregation thing.
Yeah,
so.
I do think that a lot of this stems from the idea that hey, we're in power. We don't want to be out of power, and we're scared of what will happen if we are subjugated to what we have been giving everybody else for the last 200 years.
Right.
Which is really, although I don't think in reading history, I don't think America was as historically religious as it has been since the 90s.
Right. Yeah. There's just been, you got more powerful people and they have bigger platforms they can use and people kind of get suckered into it.
Yeah. And we have more people going to church per capita now than we did when the country was founded. Granted, if I'm wrong, please feel free to let me know on the Facebook page because we are just about out of time. So if you call in now, we won't actually get to your call now.
Nope. You had your chance.
Which is, what's fundamental to the conversation. So thank you for tuning into Atheist Talk. I'm proud to be on the air with Minnesota Atheists, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. This show depends on the generous support of our members, our sponsors, and donors. Please consider supporting the show through the donation link at mnatheist.org. This has been an Atheist Talk on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.